Can he go for a cutback here into Druids? He's just a little bit too far back at the moment. Big Blue is going to defend that inside line. There's no way through there for him, as John Boy has made the move here on Connor up into 4th place. So John Boy continuing to make gains here in this race. He's now on the back of Charlie Goff as well. Charlie's got to watch out because John Boy's really on the hunt here, as Nick Levilla's looking to try and knock Connor while he's down and get another position here up into 5th place. But John Boy is really trying to make progress here at the start of this race. He's looking to the inside here on Charlie. He's going to send one here coming into the final right hand bend, and John Boy up the inside gets the move done there up into 3rd place. So it's been an electric first few laps here from John Boy. Now he's got to focus on Craig, who's just up ahead of him. He's not too far behind Captain Harlock, who is continuing to pull away at the front of the pack. But Craig, John Boy ahead of Charlie, followed by Nick. There's the Mutts Nuts running in 6th place ahead of Big Blue and Mike, followed by Smokey, Connor. You've got Part Pooper ahead of Raids Fader, who's trying to defend actually from Aussie Albie. Aussie Albie's looking to try and attack around the outside of Paddock Hill Bend, but can't do so for the moment. And Raids Fader holding on to P12 as they're coming up to Druids here once again. But John Boy is now right on the back here of Craig as they're coming round here on lap 6 of the race. You can see here John Boy's looking to the inside, trying to put Craig a little bit off as they're coming into the corner, but for the time being Craig's not being put off in any way, shape or form by John Boy's antics. You can see the Mutts Nuts still holding on ahead of Mike, followed by Big Blue, Smokey, Connor. There's Part Pooper still ahead of Raids and Aussie Albie at this point, but Captain Harlock is starting to stretch out his gap even more here. He was lapping in the 50 seconds last time around. Let's see what he does this time around. A 51.2 there from Captain Harlock. What about Craig? Craig does a 51.4, so he's half a second, no, 2/10 off of the pace of Captain Harlock. John Boy was at half a second quicker than Craig though, and is now really on his bumper as he's looking to the inside into Druids, as Craig sort of half-heartedly defends to the inside, but John Boy has the run. He runs over the curve a little bit though. Oh, John Boy there, very aggressive. He got a little bit loose there, and his back end kind of just went into the side of Craig. Craig's now going to lose out here to Charlie, as he managed to hold on the inside there. Craig keeping on to P3 just about, but Charlie will have the inside and will look to come back at him coming through this next sequence. Craig keeping it around the outside still and holds on to 3rd place at the moment, but they've lost a bit of time to John Boy with those two going side by side through those few corners. They've now fallen off of that battle for 2nd place for the time being. So John Boy now in some clean air, 3 seconds behind your race leader Captain Harlock at the moment, as Mike is now up into 5th place ahead of Big Blue and the Mutts Nuts. The Mutts Nuts has lost out a couple of places here, and he's got to watch out because he's now got Connor and Part Pooper pretty close on the back of him as they're coming down the start-finish straight here. So you got Big Blue trying to come back at Mike, but he's dropped off him a little bit here. Is Big Blue, to be fair. Mike's pulling away in that battle. Oh, as Connor's very wide, and that might allow Part Pooper up the inside into Druids. He's going to send one here as Part Pooper. Is Part Pooper going to get that done? Yes, he does. He's up ahead of Connor up into 8th place, but Connor can't come back at him on the exit of the corner as Connor very wide there coming out of Druids. He'll now be vulnerable to Raids Fader, who's going to swoop around the outside, and Raids Fader there, great manoeuvre up into 9th place. Connor there losing places left, right and centre. He's going to watch out because Aussie's now attacking as well, as Connor's trying to come back at Raids but can't do so, and Connor needs to just get himself together and go again here because he's making a few mistakes. Part Pooper got it a little bit wrong there coming through the into the final right hander, but he's still on the back of the Mutts Nuts here as they're coming around to complete their 8th laps over this race, and Part Pooper's got the run here on the Mutts Nuts coming over the line as here they come in towards Paddock Hill Bend once again, and Part Pooper has got around the Mutts Nuts there up into 7th place. So nice manoeuvre there from Part Pooper Rex. Raids Fader ahead of Connor, followed by Aussie Albie. Then you've got Nick Lavilla, who's a couple of seconds behind them, followed by Smokey, and Archie still going in 14th place, but it is Captain Harlock out the front. He's got just under 3 seconds at the moment ahead of John Boy. You've got Craig, who's still keeping at the back of John Boy kind of, but John Boy's not really gaining on Captain Harlock at this point. Captain Harlock's keeping that gap just over 2 seconds at this stage. You've got Big Blue, who's just keeping Mike just about within arm's reach, but I think Mike is now starting to extend that gap a little bit, and Mike will be looking to try and close in on these guys, Craig and Charlie, who are running in 3rd and 4th places. Mike will be looking for a podium in this first race of the night, I'm pretty sure of that. John Boy, though, will be eyeing up a win, but the thing is, he's a little way behind Captain Harlock at this point. He'll be hoping that he can try and bridge that gap over the next few laps and maybe put him under some pressure here. Let's have a look and see what penalty Captain Harlock's got. He's got a 1 second penalty, Captain Harlock, so John Boy would have to get pretty darn close if he wants to win this race. Craig's still not letting John Boy off the hook at the moment. You got Raids Fader, who's closed up onto the back of Part Pooper a little bit over the course of the last lap so far. What's going on in here in the background as you've got Connor there on the outside. It's got Aussie Albie looking on the back of him, but Connor's trying to go around the outside of the Mutts Nuts. Connor wide, really wide onto the grass there from Connor Boylan, and he managed to hold on ahead of Aussie at the moment, but Aussie and Nick are going to be looking to try and feast on the scraps if he makes another mistake, as they're coming in towards the final few corners of this lap once again, but Connor there just keeping onto it by the skin of his teeth there. Looked like he was really living dangerously on the outside on the grass, but he's still pretty close on the back of the Mutt-Nuts at the moment as we're coming over the line here to complete lap 10 of the race. It's still Captain Harlock leading the race by just under 3 seconds to John Boy. There's Craig ahead of Charlie, followed by Mike. Mike has not really made any gains actually on the leaders since getting into clean air ahead of Big Blue. Big Blue there still going there ahead of Park People, followed by Raids Fader. The Mutt-Nuts there in 9th. As you can see, Connor ahead of Aussie and Nick the Villa. There's Smokey there just behind them. So it's a tightly packed field. Archie not having the race tonight. I don't know what's happened to Archie tonight, but does not seem to have the confidence around Brands Hatch Indy circuit at this point. Maybe just needs to get a race under his belt and he'll improve for it. But currently the gap at the front still 3 seconds between Captain Harlock and John Boy. So John Boy's not bridging that gap as much as I'm sure he would like to be at this stage. Park Pooper is still keeping Big Blue under pressure in the battle for 6th and 7th places. You got Nick the Villa still just ahead of Aussie Albie here as they're coming over the line here to complete lap 11 of the race. You got Smokey still on the back of these guys as well. So that's quite a extensive battle here for 9th place as they're coming through Paddock Hill Bend up towards Drew as they come. Nick the Villa has got Aussie really close on him as they're coming into the corner. As Nick just goes a little bit defensive there, bit of a lock up there from Nick the Villa, gets his stop though, but Aussie Albie will be waiting, hoping that he might be able to pounce if Nick makes a little mistake here. For the time being though, Nick the Villa keeping on to 9th place here in this race. Captain Harlock still has the lead. What's the gap between Captain Harlock and John Boy? I think it's come down a little bit over the course of this lap. Captain Harlock a 50.8, John Boy a 50.7, so John Boy gained a 10th. Not really going to be enough though as it stands to be able to win the race. He needs to be within a second of Captain Harlock by the end of the race, and as it stands he's not gaining by enough to be able to be within that second by the time we get to the checkered flag. As this battle here for 8th place is still raging on. We've got 4 cars in a very short space here, and to be fair, Connor's not too far off them either, but Nick the Villa still leads this train of cars. The Mutt-Nuts has got Aussie looking on the back of him here. Smokey's really close on Aussie as they're coming up towards Druids once again in the foreground. You can see the Mutt-Nuts having a look to the inside of Nick. Did he make the move? I think he couldn't, and in fact the Mutt-Nuts might lose out here to Aussie. Aussie's looking around the outside and Smokey's now looking down the inside, and Aussie gets a little bit wrong and Smokey swoops up the inside there, says thank you very much. Smokey moves up into P10 there. Aussie has to tuck in for the time being there. That was a great move from Smokey Devil, very opportunistic, managed to sneak in where there was a little gap forming on the inside, and Smokey up into P10, but these guys have just dropped off a little bit off of Nick the Villa. In fact the Mutt-Nuts has pulled away a little bit from them as well. Well, in fact no, not really, to be fair. Nick the Villa's just pulled out a bit of a gap to these guys, but the Mutt-Nuts, Smokey, Aussie and Connor, to be fair as well, all very close to each other at this point, as we can see side by side there between the Mutt-Nuts and Smokey in towards Paddock Hill Bend they come. Cameraman just takes a year to catch up to it, but got Connor getting it all wrong there coming through Paddock Hill. He's now lost a bit of time to these guys. Nick's still holding on ahead of the Mutt-Nuts in 8th place. There you got Aussie, Albie and Smokey right behind these guys, but every single time I switch camera angle it's taking about maybe just about a second or two to actually look at what I'm looking at. So by the time it actually pans to what I'm selecting, I've kind of like, it's already old news by that point. It's already happened, so you can't see it. But the Mutt-Nuts here still holding their own ahead of Aussie Albie just about here. Smokey Devil's right behind Aussie Albie still in that battle for what is overall is 8th place here in this race. But now Nick's gapped these guys, so it's really 9th between the Mutt-Nuts, Aussie and Smokey Devil. The Mutt-Nuts is going to defend the inside line. Aussie looking to the outside, coming up towards Paddock Hill. And in fact, the Mutt-Nuts waves both Aussie and Smokey by, so I think the Mutt-Nuts might have had a slowdown penalty there coming into turn 1. So that's now allowed Aussie and Smokey there up into 9th and 10th. As now Smokey's looking to the inside there, coming into Druids. Can he make the move as Aussie's trying to keep it around the outside? Smokey up the inside on the exit of Druids. He's going to have the move done around the outside, I think. Yes, he does. Smokey Devil there up into 9th place. Brilliant stuff there from Smokey. Has made a couple of really expert moves over the last couple of laps to get himself into P9. He was in P11 a couple of laps to go, so it's been a good drive from Smokey. Oh, as Aussie gets it wrong, and the Mutt-Nuts has to take evasive action. Couldn't make the move. Had nowhere to go there. Did the Mutt-Nuts? Aussie Albie just taking a bit too much onto the grass, and the Mutt-Nuts is going to go for the run here, coming out of the last corner. Over the line they come here to complete lap 15 of the race, and at the moment the Mutt-Nuts is just trying to hold the inside line here here on Aussie Albi. Aussie Albi looking around the outside into Paddock Hill Bend, but nothing doing at the moment there between those guys. And now Smokey's going to try and pull away if he can. Nick Levilla's 2 seconds up the road. He is checked out away from this battle. Can he try and catch up to the guys ahead of him? He's about 5 seconds off of Park Pooper. I think that might be a bit beyond him. Looking at the timing board, John Boy is now only a second behind Captain Harlock, and I think Captain Harlock might have made a mistake on the last lap because he hasn't gained any more penalties. He did a 52 on the previous lap. That lap just there, he did a 50.9. So Captain Harlock's now responding. Oh, as I say, he goes wide, coming through Paddock Hill, and Captain Harlock gets it horribly wrong, and John Boy swoops up the inside there and up into the lead of the race. So John Boy, thank you very much indeed. He now leads this race here for the first race of the night here for the Clio Cup at Brands Hatch, and John Boy there will be thinking his Christmas has come early because Captain Harlock got that absolutely, he had an absolute mare coming through Paddock Hill Bend. Captain Harlock's still on the back of John Boy at the moment. These guys well ahead of Craig, who's running in 3rd place, and then a few seconds back to Charlie and Mike, who are battling out over 4th and 5th places. Charlie and Mike don't have penalties, whereas Captain Harlock and Craig both do, but Captain Harlock I think is far enough ahead to be out of threat from those guys. Craig on the other hand might be under a bit of threat here from Charlie and Mike because he's only about 3-4 seconds ahead of them, but these guys Charlie and Mike coming over the line, and they're pretty close right now. Mike will be trying to eye up a move here on Charlie Goff, I'm pretty sure, very shortly, but for the time being hasn't been able to do anything just yet. John Boy still leads the race by 0.3 of a second ahead of Captain Harlock. I selected to watch their battle, but then by the time the cameraman caught up with them I thought, you know what, I'm actually not interested anymore, and there we go, look, you see I select a driver, and by the time the cameraman's actually gone onto them, it's like the action that I was trying to pick out has already happened. So it's like I just don't. It's just winding me up, mate. It's just really winding me up. I'm sorry, but it's just really winding me up. Anyway, I'm going to try and just get over it because otherwise it's just going to ruin the stream. But John Boy and Captain Harlock still 0.3 apart as they're coming over the line here to complete lap 18 of the race. 4 minutes on the clock, so we're probably going to have, I would imagine, about 5 more laps here in this race as we're now coming over here into Paddock Hill Bend for the 19th time in this race. As Captain Harlock's still not giving up in this battle despite obviously losing a position, but he has got a slow down penalty, so he will, not a slow down penalty, a time penalty, so that will mean that he will lose, I think a second it is that he's got on his race at the moment. So even if he were to get ahead of John Boy, he would still have to pull out a second to him. So John Boy very much with the upper hand here in this first race of the night. He just needs to keep it cool and do exactly what he's doing right now, and he will be your race winner here at Brands Hatch to kick things off here for the night. Craig there still going in that final podium place. He's a few seconds clear of Mike, who's now got ahead of Charlie. So Mike Gaming is up into 4th place. Didn't see that one happen, but clearly he's made the move somewhere out there. As also keeping an eye on the battle between Nick and Smokey, who are almost tapping there. And Nick, so Smokey's done bits here to catch up to Nick, because Smokey had just got ahead of the Mutts Nuts and Aussie Albi a couple of laps ago. He's now caught up to and past Nick Levilla for 8th place. Nick Levilla, I don't know if he made a mistake or whether Smokey's just absolutely got the hammer down over the last few laps, but Smokey Devil now into 8th place. John Boy still leading the race by 0.6 of a second right now ahead of Captain Harlock. Craig still going 3rd ahead of Mike, and in fact Mike's just closed the gap a little bit to Craig over the last couple of laps. You can see the gap's now just over 2 seconds between Craig and Mike, so maybe Mike might be fancying a podium place here with Craig's penalty looking like he would lose a bit of time by the time we get to the checker flag here. John Boy and Captain Harlock still separated by not much at all. Park Pooper Rex still pressuring the back of Big Blue. We have lost a driver from this race. I'm just going to pause on my stream from a few seconds ago to try and work out who it is. It's not Archie, it's not Raid Fader, it's Aussie Albi. No, it's not Aussie Albi, sorry, I do apologise, Aussie Albi. It's not Connor, it's not Archie, it's not Raid, it's not, who is it? It must have been a disconnection. It was the Mutts Nuts. So we've lost the Mutts Nuts, unfortunately, from this first race of the night. Hopefully the Mutts Nuts sticks around. Oh, we don't want to leave the session, Jesus. Yeah, hopefully the Mutts Nuts sticks around and joins us for this second race coming up very shortly. It'll be a qualifying session beforehand. So it'll be outright pace deciding the grid for the second race coming up straight after this one. But yeah, hopefully we'll have the Mutts Nuts back in for that one nonetheless. But John Boy's just gapped Captain Harlock a little bit over the course of the last couple of laps. You can see the gap now 1.2 seconds between those two. So John Boy looking pretty much safe and sound there in the lead of this race. You've got Craig there in 3rd ahead of Mike, who's a couple of seconds behind him, followed by Charlie Goff, who's running in P5. Then a few seconds back to this battle here between Big Blue and Pop Rex, who continue to fight it out. and they're way ahead of Smoky Devil, who obviously passed Nick Lavilla a couple of laps ago for 8th place. They've now got a big gap back to Raids Vader, who's now ahead of Aussie Albie. What's happened to Aussie Albie? Because he was running in 9th a couple of laps ago. He's now in 13th place, so he's lost out to Raids, Connor and Archie. So I don't know what's happened there to Aussie Albie, but he's had some kind of absolute mare in the last couple of laps. Nick's trying to come back at Smokey. You can see those two still running pretty close in 8th and 9th places. Raids has got a couple of seconds back to Connor, who's got Archie breathing down his neck, and Aussie's trying to come back at these two as well as we're approaching the final stages of this race. I think it's going to be either, it could be the last lap that John Boy's on here, because it was very close on the timings. It's a 51-second lap, so it's going to be really tight as to whether this is the last lap or the next one's the last lap. It's literally going to be, I think, on the cusp. But John Boy here has got potentially half a lap left to go, potentially a lap and a half left to go, and he's got just over a second here to Captain Harlock. John Boy, without any penalties, will take the win. Captain Harlock's had driven a great race, but he's going to have to set up a second best here in his first race of the night, and I think this is going to be the last lap. So John Boy coming out of the final corner here at Brands Hatch Indy to take the first win of the night. A really great drive from him. Came after Captain Harlock like an absolute barnstormer and took the win here in his first race. Captain Harlock there, second place for him. A very creditable drive indeed. Continuing some very strong form that we've seen since he started here at Motive. Craig takes the final podium place, but Mike gets it on the penalty. So Mike third, Craig fourth. Charlie comes over to take P5 ahead of Big Blue, who finishes in 6th place. In fact, no, Big Blue loses out on 6th to Park Pooper. So Park Pooper takes P6. Did Big Blue run out of fuel? No, he didn't. I don't quite know what Big Blue was doing. Now maybe he was involved in an incident with Park Pooper and he's giving him the place back. Smokey takes 8th place. Nick comes over in 9th. So Smokey comes out on top in that battle. Raids takes 10th, Connor over 11th, Archie 12th, Aussie Albie 13th place. That is a lot for the first race, ladies and gentlemen. So that is John Boy taking the win ahead of Captain Harlock. Mike Gaming completing the podium. Congratulations to John Boy. A really solid drive there from him. Came after Captain Harlock, forced him into the mistake, and did not look back. Maintained that gap and kept him just about at arm's reach. John Boy, your race winner for the first race of the night. Stay tuned, guys. We'll be back very shortly for the qualifying session for the second race. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back, everybody. We're here for the second race of the night. This is the qualifying session preceding the second race of 3 here for round 4 of the Clio Cup. This is obviously races 10, 11 and 12 of the season. John Boy there taking the first race of the night with a fantastic drive there, coming off to Captain Harlock at a rate of knots. Oh, it's John Boy there, just not having his best moment of the night so far, let's say, but yeah, he took the win in the first race of the night, and Captain Harlock there, a very strong second place there in the race as well. Mike Gaming managed to take third place on the penalty, so well done to him on another podium finish this season, and he is absolutely running away with the championship. It's not much point in me going into the championship standings now, because obviously they are now one race out of date, seeing as they were the standings before the first race. But essentially Mike Gaming is over 140 points clear. He has nearly double the points of his nearest challenger. He won every single race in the first week, and he almost won every single race in the second week of the season as well. In fact, he almost took the first 6 races of the season. It was only because of Jay winning the final race of the night at Sugo in week 2 that he didn't make it a 6 out of 6 start to the season. But obviously here at Brands Hatch Indy, it's John Boy's taking the first win of the night. John Boy, we know, champion of the Clio Cup 2 seasons ago, but Mike Gaming in the last couple of seasons has been the unstoppable force. But John Boy's had his moments against Mike. You know, he's probably the only one who on his day can really properly give Mike a real test. We've seen Jay can be up there, but I think John Boy, in terms of raw pace, I think it's the only guy in this league who can go toe to toe with Mike. John Boy is able to beat Mike fair and square when he's at his best. So yeah, John Boy's one of those guys who he can really give it a good fight. We've got Emma in the comments there, other half of Aussie Albie there. She's saying good luck guys, have a great final couple of races tonight. Hopefully we do, Emma. Hopefully the guys keep it clean, keep it fair, there's no silly business, and yeah, fingers crossed, we see some great racing. We usually do in the Clio Cup. Also, I want to say, whilst we're on stream, guys, if anyone's listening, any of you drivers are listening, we've got the GT3 League tomorrow night for obviously Project Cars 2. Our turnouts haven't been great in the GT3 League, so this is an open invitation to members of the community. If you fancy a race tomorrow night, definitely come along. Your boy will actually be racing in it, as long as Mike's around. Mike's been commentating the last few weeks. Actually, Mike Gaming, the champion of our Clio Cup and Touring Cars, has been dabbling into a bit of commentating. He's a man of many talents. He's not just a quick driver, he's also a very esteemed commentator as well. So yeah, guys, if you are around tomorrow night, then definitely get involved in the GT3 League. I've been racing in it the last few weeks. I've been really enjoying my racing, but the one thing that's been getting me down is that there haven't been many people racing. I think we only had 10 drivers turn out the last couple of weeks. The first week we had 15, I think, at Daytona, so I don't know what happened, but nonetheless, if anybody's interested in joining the GT3s, then definitely come along, because that will be tomorrow night at 8:30 p.m. UK time, the usual time here on Motive. As we're coming to the end of the qualifying session now, Mike unable to improve, so it looks like John Boy on provisional pole position is going to start this one from P1. So John Boy will be looking to try and make it a second win of the night here at Brands Hatch on the Indy circuit. So John Boy P1 ahead of Mike Gaming, who will line up alongside him on the front row. Captain Harlock not too far away in third place, with Big Blue 4th, followed by Charlie Goff, who will start this one in P5. Craig in 6th ahead of Archie 7th. Raids Fader in 8th place ahead of Nick Lavilla in 9th, followed by the Must Nuts in P10. Aussie Albie 11th ahead of Connor 12th, followed by Smokey in 13th place, and Part Pooper Rex will round out the grid in 14th place. This will be the only standing start that we have tonight. Every other start that we have in the Clios and the Touring Cars on races 1 and 3 are always rolling start, but race 2 will always be a standing start. So it's straight into the race, no messing around. Oh, hold on, we've lost the driver. Who have we lost? Just trying to cross-reference who we've lost here, because there is one driver missing. We had 14 in the quali session, and we have lost one driver, and I'm trying to work out who it is. I will work out who it is. So it's one sec. It's Connor. Connor, what a shame we've lost Connor Boylan from the start of the race, so he will not be lining up for the start of this one, but the light's coming on. We're about to go racing here, which lights out and away we go, and John Boy gets a decent enough start and covers Mike off coming up towards turn 1 as we're line astern here down into turn 1 as Big Blue's looking to the inside of Captain Harlock. Charlie Goff looking around the outside of Big Blue, can't make anything happen there. He's going to look to try and go all the way around the outside as Charlie Goff side by side coming up towards Druids. It's John Boy leading ahead of Mike, followed by Captain Harlock. Oh, and there's a crash in the background. What's happened there? Nick the Villa looks like he's off. Oh my goodness me, Nick the Villa's got huge damage there and he's off onto the gravel. Who did he make contact with? I'm not sure what triggered that, but John Boy leads ahead of Mike, followed by Captain Harlock. Charlie Goff has got around Big Blue up into 4th place, and you can see Craig looking to try and pressure Big Blue with Raids Fader right there as well. A bit of a gap back to Archie, the Mutts Nuts ahead of Smokey, followed by Aussie Albie. Park Pooper there in 12th place, and Nick the Villa with huge damage on the first lap. He's going to have to come into the pits and get that repaired. He's not going to be able to drive the rest of that race with that sort of damage. John Boy ahead of Mike, ahead of Captain Harlock. These three trying to break away a little bit from Charlie Goff at the end of the first lap. We can see the toe is very, very much pivotal in these Clio Cup cars. The slipstream can really help you keep up even if you're not on the pace in these cars, and at the moment we can see John Boy, Mike and Captain Harlock abusing that slipstream as they're coming up into Druids here for the second time at racing speeds. But right now it's an electric start to this second race of the night. John Boy, your race leader, ahead of Mike Gaming. Mike Gaming is hassling the back of John Boy right now. He's all over him as these two old rivals once again going toe to toe here at Brands Hatch here tonight for the second race. You can see Captain Harlock in the background trying to keep with these guys as Big Blue's looking to the inside of Charlie Goff there, coming through that sequence but not able to make anything happen there. Craig just behind Raids Fader. You got Archie ahead of the Mutts Nuts, followed by Smokey, Aussie Albie and Park Pooper having a battle here for 11th place as they're coming to the final few corners. But Nick the Villa into the pits and he's out now he's got that damage repaired and he's off and on his way. But you can see the lead pack are coming round now, so Nick the Villa, that's how much time he's lost. He's now coming out in the middle of the lead pack, a lap down on the leaders, so that's gone an absolute disaster there for Nick the Villa as Mike has got a bit of a run here on John Boy up towards Druids. John Boy's going to cover the inside line and hugs the curb as Mike's going to try and go all the way around the outside. Can he do it? He's got a bit of his car alongside and he'll have the inside for turn 3, and Mike Gaming has to back out because John Boy keeps it around the outside. Really great driving there from John Boy to hold on to the lead of the race. Mike couldn't quite keep it there, but Mike Gaming really testing the waters right now on John Boy, with Captain Harlock still keeping with these guys as well, to be fair to him. Craig has in the back of Raids Fader. You can see the Mutts Nuts having to defend from Smokey as well, but what a start to this race as Aussie has had to back out of it and let Park Pooper through. Park Pooper to the left. Oh, and we see there the Mutts Nuts has lost it. He's binned it there coming into the final corner and he's going to drop down to a 12th place there. He's lost a bit of time to the rest of the guys as Mike still challenging John Boy here, and Captain Harlock right on the back of these guys coming into turn 1 once again. Up towards turn 2 they come here again. Mike Gaming is right on John Boy and he's not letting him run off into the distance with this race. You can see there Craig is looking to make the move here on Raids Fader down the inside. Can he make it a sticky? Can't for the time being. Raids keeping it around the outside there and holding on to 6th place grimly as Craig deep into always Raids goes a bit deep into the corner and pushes Craig out wide onto the grass, and that might allow Archie to have a little bit of a sniff. No, he's too far away at the moment. Raids Fader has a time penalty as well. We're not quite sure what the nature of that time penalty is at this point, but he's dropped a little bit off of he's pulled away a little bit from those guys there, but obviously you can see John Boy still just ahead of Mike, ahead of Captain Harlock. These three guys separated by 0.4 of a second as they're coming into Paddock Hill Bend for the 5th time. You can see Charlie ahead of Big Blue, followed by Raids Fader, who's got Craig all over the back of him, and Archie not too far away as well. There's Smokey ahead of Park Pooper, followed by Aussie Albie. The Mutts Nuts there running in 12th place ahead of Nick the Villa, who's running in 13th place. He is the back marker of this pack, but obviously he's running just ahead on track ahead of Aussie Albie, who's just there. You can see in the background. Also, he's running just behind Aussie Albie and just ahead of the Mutts Nuts as Captain Harlock has got ahead of John Boy. What's happened to John Boy? John Boy's dropped down to 3rd place. Oh, he's made a mistake. Oh, John Boy down to P3. He's got to really get his elbows out now if he wants to win this race. Mike Gaming hits the front as we're on lap 5 of the race, and John Boy will be kicking himself with that one because he's had a lead slip. He obviously had the win in the first race and could have made it 2 out of 2. He had pole position for this second race of the night, but he's now down in P3 as Captain Harlock's now putting the pressure on Mike for the lead of this race. These three about 2 seconds clear of Charlie ahead of Big Blue. There's Archie ahead of Smokey, followed by Park Pooper. You can see there Aussie trying to get onto the back of Park Pooper there in towards turn 1. but for the time being can't make anything happen there. Park Pooper a little bit wide, coming through Paddock Hill Bend into Druids. Aussie having a look, a little bit too far back just at the moment, but let's keep an eye on the battle for the lead, because Mike is still keeping Captain Harlock and John Boy at bay just about here, as these guys come into the middle part of the lap, into the final few corners. And once again, John Boy here just looking all over the back of Captain Harlock. Had a bit of a lock up there as he came into the final right-hander, but John Boy will be frustrated with losing this lead. Obviously he had pole position and he had track position a few moments ago, but now he's got to rethink and go again. As down the start finish straight they come, down towards Paddock Hill again. Captain Harlock a little bit wide as they came on through the corner. Here's John Boy going to try and stem one here. Always with openings coming up here. Captain Harlock looks to the outside of Mike. Mike covering the inside line. Captain Harlock's wide and John Boy will seize on that up into second place. And Captain Harlock, they're getting it all wrong and just about avoiding the advertising hoarding there. But Charlie Goff not too far behind Captain Harlock now. Mike and John Boy still 3/10 apart as they're coming through the middle part of this lap. You can see also that Aussie Albie's putting the pressure on Park Pooper, and in fact these two have got the Mutts Nuts now with them, I think, as well. No, they haven't. Sorry, that's the back marker of Nick the Villa. Sorry, should I say? Nick the Villa is keeping Park Pooper and Aussie very much honest here at this point. Down the start finish straight come the leaders Mike, John Boy and Captain Harlock. Captain Harlock's actually not lost too much time after making that mistake on the exit of Druids on the previous lap. He's still within a second of the leaders. Oh, as I say that, he's gone wide. Oh, he's onto the gravel there, and he's lost more time to these guys now. He keeps making little mistakes as Captain Harlock. We saw in the first race that was the mistake through that corner that lost him the race, and continuing to do the same thing here in this second race. Mike's still just ahead of John Boy at this point as these two continuing to duel it out the front. Aussie's still trying to make the move on Park Pooper, but still can't make anything happen just at the moment. Nick the Villa's still just in front of these guys and showing no sign of wanting to yield. In fact, sorry, he's not in front of them, he's on the back of them, but Nick the Villa's keeping the pressure on them and not letting them off the hook as he gets it all wrong there coming out of turn 3, but gets away with it. But John Boy right on Mike here as he's coming towards as he's looking to the inside in towards Paddock Hill Bend. Just can't quite make it happen again there. Oh, it's Mike just tagging the curb, getting it a little bit out wide. Now here comes John Boy looking to the outside. He's going to go all the way around the outside here. Mike going to go late on the brakes, trying to send it back down the inside, pushes John Boy a little bit wide. John Boy has got it around the outside. He's going to get it absolutely pinned there, and the inside line for John Boy will turn to the race lead. And once again, John Boy turning the favour back on Mike, turning that move on its head, and fantastic driving there from both of those guys. But John Boy once again hitting the front here in this race. These two putting on an absolutely fantastic show, and can Mike try and get the cut back here coming to the final corner, because John Boy had to take quite a tight line there as he came through that section of the track. Here comes Mike once again, and he will have to run down the start finish straight. They're going to be side by side here over the line to complete lap 9 of the race. John Boy and Mike, absolutely nothing separating these two. Mike back down the inside for Paddock Hill Bend. John Boy trying to keep it around the outside. Can he do it? Mike has to give him the space because John Boy's still there, and these two are still side by side up towards Druids corner as John Boy they're keeping around him. Mike once again trying to send it down the inside, but he's not going to be able to do it from there. Surely he pushed him a little bit wide. John Boy off the racing line will have the inside for the next corner. Mike Gaving has the preferred line, I reckon, because he'll be able to carry more speed around the corner and gets the lead back off of John Boy. And these two are absolutely going for it, hell for leather at this point. Mike Gaming has the lead again. Charlie in third place has now got ahead of Captain Harlock onto the final podium spot. Pig Blue's got a penalty from the race director, a time penalty. We're not sure how much it is, but he's a little way off of these guys in 5th place. He's a bit clear of Archie though, who's running in 6th. Aussie is trying to put the pressure here on Park Pooper for 8th place at the moment, as these guys have still got Nick the Villa right on them as well. Obviously Nick the Villa, the lapped car, they're running in 13th place, but Mike Gaving and John Boy still battling here, and Mike managing to seize the lead back off of John Boy, looking like he lost it for a few moments, but this battle looks like it's going to be continuing on and on and on here on lap 11 of 24 here at Brands Hatch Indy Circuit for the second race of 3 here tonight for round 4 of 6 for the entire season. Obviously races 10, 11 and 12 of the season. This is race 11 of an 18 race season here, this second race of the night, as John Boy's still looking on the back of Mike. Can he get the run coming out of the final corner? Look like he got a better exit, and once again we'll get a nice slipstream coming down the start finish straight. He's going to sit in that toe for as long as he can. He's not going to be able to make a move. He's just a little bit too far back. He's going to sit in and use that slipstream as much as he possibly can. Down towards Paddock Hill Bend we come. and Mike Gaming surviving and weathering that storm. John Boy, they're much better run. I tell you what, he got a fantastic drive there out of Paddock Hill Bend up towards Drew as they come looking to the outside. Mike Gaming has the inside line, should be able to run John Boy out of road again. But this is great racing from these two right now, as Charlie's still just keeping ahead of Captain Harlock after making that move and him getting into third place. Smoky Devils on the back of Archie as these two battle it out over 6th and 7th places. You can see Aussie just ahead of the Mutts Nuts at the moment as well. Those two in 9th and 10th places here in this race. Raids Fader is coming into the pits here at the end of lap 11. And Mike Gaming is currently still your race leader at this stage, just under 0.2 of a second separating Mike and John Boy. John Boy, though, once again with a lovely run coming down the start finish straight, is going to get there a little bit too late as he throws a little feint to the inside. That's a feint, that's all it is. He's not going to actually make that move into Paddock Hill Bend. Oh, I don't think he'd even do that on the last lap, to be honest with you. But John Boy looking to the inside into Druids, too far back. Can Mike hold it? He goes a bit of a lock up there from Mike to get the car stopped, but manages to do so quite duly. And these two still nothing separating them. Charlie and Captain Harlock still running pretty close as well. Bit of a gap back to Big Blue, who's driving his own race there in P5. Archie there just ahead of Smokey, followed by Park Pooper. You can see Smokey getting it all wrong there, coming on the exit of Druids. That's not Park Pooper, in fact that's Nick the Villa. I think, is it Nick the Villa maybe, who's running just behind them? I don't actually know for sure. No, it's not Nick the Villa. Nick the Villa is behind Park Pooper. And Aussie, so in fact no, he's behind Park Pooper, and Aussie's dropped off of them, so Aussie's now dropping back into the clutches of the Mutts Nuts there. You can see the Mutts Nuts running in P10, trying to close onto the back of Aussie for 9th place. These guys are a few seconds clear of Craig, who's in 11th place, followed by Raids, who had to come in for damage repairs early in the race. He's running in 12th place, actually not too far ahead of Nick. Oh, is Raids getting it all wrong coming through turn 1. He goes onto the gravel. Oh, keep it out of the way because you've got the leaders coming through here. Careful here, Raids. Nonetheless, we've still got Mike and John Boy still running very close right now. 6/10 between the two leaders, but Mike's gap John Boy a little bit over the course of this lap so far. Charlie's still keeping ahead of Captain Harlock at this point. The Mutts Nuts trying to get Aussie Albie to make a bit of a mistake here. You can see Archie has got Smokey really close in his rearview mirrors as well, as they're coming through the final part of the lap here to complete what will be lap 14 for them. Captain Harlock stood on the back of Charlie. You can see these two battling out over the podium's places as Mike's gapped John Boy by just over a second now. So Mike Gaming looking better for a potential race win here in race 2 of the night. Obviously John Boy took the first win. Can Mike then now settle the score a little bit and take some points back here? Obviously Mike Gaming the runaway championship leader. I think the championship's a foregone conclusion now, but these Clios provide great entertainment anyway, so I wouldn't worry about the championship being done. You know, it's always exciting to watch the Clios. But Charlie there running in third, just ahead of Captain Harlock. Those two still as you were. Big Blue there, best of the rest at the moment. Archie's just holding on ahead of Smokey at this point in the background. That was Park Pooper there's just battling with I think that's Raids Fader that he's battling with, is it? No, that's Raids Fader getting out of the way. So I don't actually know who it is that Park Pooper is battling with. Is it Nick the Villa? It is, yeah. Nick the Villa's still. So Park Pooper is still battling with Nick the Villa. Archie and Smokey still battling over 6th and 7th places. Big Blue is closed off onto the back of Captain Harlock. So Captain Harlock must have made another mistake here. He's also got a time penalty as well as Captain Harlock. So he made a mistake and he's been cutting a couple of corners here. So he's now got Big Blue breathing down his neck for 4th place. Mike's gap John Boy continuously here. He's got nearly a 2.5 second gap over John Boy now. So John Boy's really had a bit of a mare the last couple of laps, and Mike looking ever better here for this race 2 victory here tonight. Big Blue just over a second behind Captain Harlock at this point. You can see Smoky Devil is on the back of Archie as they're coming around the final corner. In the background you've got Park Pooper and Nick the Villa still having their battle. Nick the Villa obviously a lap down on Park Pooper Rex, but that's not stopping him. Oh no! And there's been a crash between Nick the Villa and Park Pooper into turn 1. Park Pooper off onto the gravel. Where is Nick in all of this? Nick continues on his way. Oh god, that's gone horribly. I hope that wasn't Nick's fault, because if it was, Park Pooper's going to be absolutely seething with that. There's an orange car there who seems to be paddling a little bit. Is that Raids? It's not. Yeah, it is Raids. It's not an orange car. It's a reddish type of car, but obviously in the sunlight looks a little bit orange. But Raids Fader getting well out of the way there. But Nick de Villa there, a lap down, having the collision with Park Pooper. I wonder what Park Pooper will say about that one. Nick de Villa obviously entitled to battle. If he's got the pace to battle with somebody who's trying to lap him, then you know he's within his rights to stand his ground. Mike there, 3 seconds clear of John Boy at this point. You've got a further 3 seconds back to Charlie, who's running in third place. There's Captain Harlock, who's a couple of seconds clear of Big Blue at this stage. He's a few seconds further ahead of Archie, who's got Smokey on the back of him for 6th and 7th places. The Mutts Nuts Aussie, Craig there, a few seconds behind those two. Who's running in? Craig's running in 10th place. Aussie and the Mutts Nuts are in the thick of a battle here with Nick de Villa and Raids Fader. In fact, so that they are basically, so Nick de Villa leads this quartet, and the rear gunner of this quartet is Raids Fader. So Nick de Villa leads these 4 drivers with the Mutts Nuts and Aussie trying to lap him in the middle of himself and Raids Fader. Did I just explain that correctly? I'm trying to. But yeah, these guys got 6 laps left to go here in this race. And Nick de Villa currently holding his own here amongst these cars that are trying to lap him. Part of them are into the pits, so I imagine that's for damage repairs, you would think. Captain Harlock's now managed to gap Big Blue. Big Blue was on the back of him, but Captain Harlock's now got his head down there. He's now starting to chase down Charlie again for 3rd place. But obviously Captain Harlock has got a time penalty. We're not sure what that penalty is, but it will obviously affect his race finishing time. Will it affect his position? We'll have to wait and see. As my boss is just ringing me, so I better pick this up. So about that, guys, just had to quickly go through something with my boss on the phone, but we've got Mike Gaming here coming through the final few corners. He's managed to keep the gap to John Boy relatively consistent here. John Boy gave him a good fight in the first part of the race, obviously was the pole sitter, but it's going to be Mike Gaming out of the final corner, and he's going to take P1 here in the second race of the night as he comes up towards the line. Are we going to flash the lights? No, we're not. Mike Gaming P1 here in the second race. John Boy comes over to take 2nd place. Your race 1 winner there takes a 1st and a 2nd so far tonight. Charlie Goff will complete the podium. And what happened to Captain Harlock? He dropped down to P10 in the last couple of laps. So what has gone on there? I was watching him as I was talking on the phone, and I saw him make one mistake. I didn't see what happened, why he's dropped down to P10, 30 seconds off for the lead. Captain Harlock's had a mare over the last couple of the laps. Big Blue 4th, Smokey 5th, followed by Archie, who came over in 6th. The Mutts Nuts takes P7, with Aussie Albie 8th place. Couldn't capitalise on the Mutts Nuts' penalty there. Craig takes 9th. Captain Harlock, I think, is just going to come over in P10, but I think he'll lose out on the time penalties there to Park Pooper. No, he doesn't, so he stays ahead of him. So Captain Harlock there, P10. Park Pooper there comes over in 11th. Nick de Villa 12th, with Raids Fader 13th, and Connor obviously disconnected before we started the race. Massive shame there for him. But Mike Gaming, your winner. John Boy 2nd. Charlie Goff completing the podium. Guys, we're going to have one more race tonight. It will be a reverse grid based on the results from this race. So stay tuned for that. We'll be back very, very shortly indeed. Right, guys, it would appear I haven't been my audio hasn't been on the entire last race that we've had here. Emma did actually mention it in the stream, but I was so preoccupied commentating on the race, I had no idea. Those of you who tune into my Twitch stream will know I've been commentating the entire time. If I tell you what, if that Twitch stream wasn't there, you guys would have no idea that I've been properly getting into this. I mean, to be fair, most of you will never know, but that is gutting. What a race it's been, and I've been literally going mad commentating on this. I'm gutted, to be fair. It's been a crazy final race of the evening, but it's John Boy still leading the race. That's really put me out a bit, to be fair. Craig's dropped off at the back of John Boy a little bit, and the gap's now 2.5 seconds between those two. Raids Fader there's running in third place. He's got Captain Harlock and the Mutts Nuts there battling over fourth and fifth. There's Mike ahead of Big Blue, followed by Nick, and you've got Archie there still with these guys. Charlie Goff there running in P10 in this race. It's a couple of seconds clear of Smokey. Connor running in 12th place. Ozzy and Park Boover have both been into the pits over the course of this race. Not what you want in a series where there are no mandatory pit stops. But John Boy's now starting to put out the gap to Craig, and Raids Fader's now trying to put the pressure on Craig here for second place. Captain Harlock with no penalties. Raids Fader has got one, so that could potentially play into Captain Harlock's hands here if he wants to get onto the podium here in this final race of the night. Mike Gaming's hunting these guys down as well there in P5. He's now cleared the traffic behind him. Big Blue, the Mutts Nuts, Nick, he's got ahead of all of those guys, so Mike Gaming's now can focus on this podium chance here in this race. John Boy's got a penalty. I'm noticing that on the timing screen. I'm not sure what penalty it is, but Craig is 3 seconds behind him. The gap is currently over 3 seconds, and the penalty that John Boy's got is 2 seconds, so he should be okay as long as he maintains that gap. But Craig has got Raids Fader trying to pressure him for second place as they're coming into Drury's once again. Captain Harlock there ahead of Mike Gaming, who's a couple of seconds behind him. There's Big Blue ahead of the Mutts Nuts, followed by Nick the Villa. There's Archie running in 9th place, but John Boy here trying to put out the gap as much as he can here and keep it over 2 seconds here to Craig. I want to just apologise to everybody who was listening to this final race of the evening in silence tonight. Unfortunately, I didn't realise that my audio on my YouTube stream wasn't working, so I'll just cut out the first part of this race and go straight to where I started talking, which was about a couple of laps ago at this point. Captain Harlock has got it all wrong coming to the final corner. He's gone wide onto the gravel, and that's going to give Raids Fader Mike, and Big Blue here is going to come up on the scene as well. So Big Blue up into 5th place. Oh, as the Mutts Nuts gets it wrong as he's trying to make the move on Captain Harlock, and there goes Nick the Villa up into 7th place. Can Nick the Villa get the move on Captain Harlock? No, he's too far away, but Captain Harlock there losing quite a lot of places, has gone from 4th down to 6th place, but he was in the hunt for a podium place with the penalties for Raids Fader. That's gone horribly wrong there for Captain Harlock, as Raids Fader is still trying to pressure Craig here for second place, but obviously with that time penalty that could change very quickly here in this race. Captain Harlock's got Nick the Villa now pressuring him for 6th place. Archie just behind them, and then you've got a big gap back to Charlie, but Raids Fader still on the back of Craig here for this battle for second place. John Boy checking out at the front has got quite a sizable gap now, and obviously with his 2-second penalty it shouldn't make any difference here with the fact that he's now 4.5 seconds clear out the front. But Raids Fader would love to get a second place on the track here. Mike Gaming though is coming for Craig and Raids Fader and is lapping consistently quicker here. 51.2 last time from Mike, again 0.3 on Craig. I don't think that time was representative there from Raids on that last lap. 55.4, I'm pretty sure it wasn't. I'm pretty sure that was a penalty coming Raids Fader's way. He's got 14 seconds worth of penalties. Oh my days. Raids Fader's been going mad with the track limits in this race. I don't know how you can pick up 14 seconds worth of penalties around this track. That's insane. As Nick the Villa's keeping ahead of Captain Harlock right now, as we've lost a driver from the race as well. I can't work out who it is, and I can't even squint to see on my phone who it is at this point. My eyes just aren't opening wide enough. I'm so tired, my eyes can't even pick out stuff like that right now. John Boy leading by 5 seconds. He's continuing to put out that gap at the moment. There's Craig in second ahead of Raids. Craig's managed to gap Raids a little bit over the course of the last couple of laps or so. You've got Mike there running in 4th, who's got Big Blue a little bit behind him. There's Big Blue with Nick the Villa not too far off of him as well. Captain Harlock there still pressuring Nick the Villa for 6th place. Obviously Captain Harlock's lost places in the second part of this race. He was running in contention for a podium, but made a couple of mistakes and dropped out of that battle. Nick the Villa getting ahead of him up into P6 as well. Archie's a couple of seconds behind them in 8th place at this point, but it's currently still Craig holding on for second place. Raids Fader is still not too far away from him, and Mike Gaming is now arriving on the back of Raids Fader. You can see that gap is now just over a second between those two, so Mike Gaming has been chipping away at that gap and now might fancy a chance of getting another podium here tonight. And if Mike Gaming can get into third place, it would be a clean sweep of podiums here tonight for him. He's been on the podium in every race so far tonight. He took third in the first race, he took the win in the second race, and he could be on for a potential another podium here. John Boy also has been a star tonight. He will be on for his third podium in the space of 3 races, and it'd be his second win as well. So John and Mike, both the star performers here tonight at Brands Hatch Indy. But it's currently John Boy who has the ascendancy here in this final race of the night. Craig is still got just over a second at the moment ahead of Raids Fader, as you've got a battle going on between Nick and Captain Harlock, still raging on, but these two battling has allowed Archie to just creep up onto the back of them a little bit here. So Archie is getting ever closer to Nick and Captain Harlock while these two worry about each other. You've got Raids Fader still holding off Mike Gaming. Mike Gaming's been chipping away at that gap over the last few laps, but Craig's now got a 2-second gap nearly over Raids Fader, so Craig looking ever better in that second place, looking ever more secure here from Raids Fader, as Big Blue there still running in P5. Nick the Villa's got Captain Harlock looking to his outside, coming up towards Paddock Hill Bend. Can he make the move? No, not at the moment. Archie's still waiting in the wings, hoping he might be able to feast on these scraps if either of these two make mistakes. But Captain Harlock, I tell you what, went very wide there coming through Paddock Hill Bend. He's looking to the outside here of Nick the Villa, but Nick the Villa's still covering that inside line, still parking his car in all the right places, and Nick the Villa keeping onto that P6 there, doing a very good job of putting his car exactly where it needs to be. Craig there still got a second of a gap here over Raids Fader. Mike Gaming breathing down the neck of Raids Fader. Is it going to be a matter of time until Mike gets this move done, as Raids gets a bit of a hesitant turn in there coming into the final corner? That might give Mike a bit of a run. I think he's too far back to make the move into Paddock Hill, but he'll definitely be able to be within striking distance. I tell you what, if he can get a good run out of Paddock Hill, he might fancy a chance up towards Druid's Corner. Let's go trackside, as we can see Raids Fader and Mike Gaming battling over third and fourth places here in the final race of the night here at Brands Hatch. Oh, Raids has lost it coming into the Paddock Hill Bend. He's gone onto the gravel there. That's given Mike P3, and Raids Fader there is going to lose more places. I think Big Blue's going to move up into fourth place here. Captain Harlock's going to move through as well up into fifth. Nick the Villa, Archie coming through. Raids Fader down to eighth place. Where's Charlie? Charlie's nowhere to be seen, but Raids Fader there with a big mistake coming through Paddock Hill Bend, and that's now ruined his chances of finishing in third place on the track. Obviously he's got a sizable time penalty which will drop him down the order at the end regardless. But nonetheless, Raids Fader there with a big mistake, and Mike Gaming up onto the podium, and Raids Fader's retired from the race. I can't say I'm surprised, to be honest with you, with the time penalty that he had. He would probably drop down to near enough last anyway. So Raids Fader, what a shame there for him. He had some good pace tonight, to be fair to him. You know, he was doing all right, but I suppose just the track limits really letting him down here tonight. But we're down to 11 drivers here in this final race of the night. And what a dramatic night it's been here at Motive for the Clio Cup here. And it's currently John Boy leading the race by just under 5 seconds. So actually Craig's gained a bit on John Boy over the last couple of laps. I wonder if John Boy's got another penalty. He's got an additional 1 second penalty. No, he hasn't. He always had a 2 second penalty. So that's what he already had. So he hasn't gained any more penalties. So at the moment, John Boy in a good position here in the lead of this race. Craig's still running in second. Mike, though, is creeping closer to Craig and might fancy a P2 here. Mike, what a job it would be from him to get into second place, considering he was last after the first 5 laps. He was about 10 seconds off of the lead. He's done bits here to get to where he is. He's been quicker than John Boy over the course of this race. Having said that, John Boy probably not pushing, probably just managing the gap, probably knows he's got this race in hand and isn't really going for it as much as he might have. But Big Blue nonetheless has got Nick the Villa pressuring him for fourth place still. Archie on the back of these guys, as I said before, he will be there to capitalise if these two make a mistake. Captain Harlock's trying to get back onto the rear of Archie after a few mistakes in the second part of this race, has put pay to his chances of finishing on the podium. But what can Craig do here? Can he hold off Mike for one more lap here? The Clio Cup champion, the touring car champion, the championship leader here in this Clio Cup as well, looking to try and pick up another place. John Boy has the lead and should be home and sound here in the final lap of this race as he starts the final lap. Craig, though, starting the final lap just ahead of Mike Gaming. Mike Gaming is absolutely hassling him as they come down towards Paddock Hill Bend. Bit of a slide there from both of them. Mike Gaming's going to have a bit of a run here. Craig a little bit wide. Can Craig keep it around the outside? Mike's surely going to send one coming into Druids, put him under pressure here. Craig needs to keep himself there and stand his ground, but he can't do it. Mike Gaming with the better run out of the corner, and Mike Gaming moves himself up into second place. Routine stuff there from a driver like Mike Gaming. He gets it done, and he now has has P2 in the bag. He goes a little bit wide there. Did he get track limits or did he get away with it? John Boy though coming through the final few corners of this snap. He took the win in the first race. He took pole position for the second race. Lost out to Mike Gaming in a great race long duel. Mike Gaming pulled away a bit in the end, but in the third race of the night, John Boy returns to winning ways, and it's 2 out of 3 for John Boy here at Brands Hatch Indy tonight. What a job, what a night from him. Mike Gaming comes in to take second place in the end ahead of Craig after a last lap manoeuvre there, taking P2. But Craig nonetheless a great P3 here tonight in his final race of the night. Big Blue takes fourth ahead of Nick Lavilla, who comes over in fifth. In fact, Nick Lavilla loses out on the penalties there to Captain Harlock, so Captain Harlock takes fifth ahead of Nick Lavilla in sixth. Archie over the line to take seventh place in the end ahead of Charlie, who will take eighth place in this final race. Smoky Devil is going to come over the line, and it's going to be a ninth place here for Smoky in the end. Some decent points in the bag there for him. Connor is going to come around the final corner. It's going to be a 10th place finish here for Connor Boylan as he comes up towards the line. As there he is, Aussie Albie with lap down there in this race, finish it all classified in P11. But that fantastic action here tonight on the Motive channel. Well done to John Boy on taking the win, Mike Gaming second, and Craig finishing in third place. So a great result for all those guys. A big thank you to everybody who joined us tonight here for the Clio Cup. Drivers, if you did enjoy this, please smash the like button, and please, if you enjoy the stream, also share it with your friends and family members and otherwise associates. I'm absolutely shattered. I can barely even get my words out. I was slurring my words because I'm absolutely exhausted. I'm literally, I've said it, I've been saying it for the last couple of weeks, but I'm so tired right now. I'm getting like no sleep, constantly working, constantly commentating, and I love it and I wouldn't change it for the world, but I'm absolutely tired, and that is a fact. But I want to thank everybody once again. Please do smash the like button and join us tomorrow night for the GT3s. Guys, we need drivers for the GT3s. If anyone wants it, come get it. Join us tomorrow night, 8:30 p.m. UK time, for round 4 of the GT3 League here on Project Cars 2. As I said before, you can get involved on SLP. Go onto our Discord server and simply go to join the leagues tab, and you can check out our SLP entry, simleaguepro.com. That's got our all the info. We'll be at Imola tomorrow night for the GT3, so if you fancy it, definitely come along and have a look. But from me, it's a very good night. We'll see you then. Take it easy, and yeah, see ya.